It is awful to see what my friend Bruce Benson has done to my alma mater, taking away the party school atmosphere at Boulder, taking away the Princeton Review's #1 rating. But to help out with the state, Matt Laur, who has done an incredible job bringing at least the whole state back to partiness. Is that a good way to put it?
Correct. Mike.
Mike. Oh, Mike. I'm sorry.
He's my long-distance cousin.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah.
All right, you put together this. This is terrific. The Beer, Wine, and Spirits Drinker's Guide to Colorado. Now, you found an audience in me. This is a step-by-step guide, basically, to every brewery, distillery, and great crafts beer place in the entire state. This is the travel companion I've been waiting my entire life for. Talk to me about the business of this. How much business in Colorado wraps around this stuff?
It's huge. The economic impact of what happens within the beer, wine, and spirit community in Colorado is gigantic. CU Business School just came out with a study in August reporting that there's $1.15 billion of economic impact in beer within the state of Colorado. And it keeps growing year in, year out. There's 20% growth in Colorado. You're going to see that nationwide. There's over 4,000 breweries in the country. Colorado's at the forefront. We're #2 with the number of breweries in the nation. California's #1.
I've heard that Colorado is like the Napa Valley for craft brewing. Is that a fair comparison? I mean,
well, I prefer to say that California is more like the Rhino of wine, if you will. I think that's a little fairer description of it. But yes, there's a huge attraction for the beer business here in Colorado, and for beer consumers, beer tourists, people who come here to find beer.
How long have you been doing this? Putting together a guide of every single place, showing what they do, whether you can buy it, whether you can drink it there. I mean, there's hundreds of. How long have you been doing this?
We've been working on this for 10 years, and we're soon to come out with our 9th edition of the book, which we're really looking forward to.
All right.
We'll have over 500 listings of breweries, wineries, and distilleries in our next edition.
Now, what was most important, of course, is the roadmap. Now this you want to get drinking and driving. You now have a roadmap of every great bar in Colorado that has craft brews.
We started out as a map.
Really?
I love maps. I'm a map freak, and I've always wanted to produce a map. So we had a hole open up in our schedule. Hey, we're going to do a beer map. So we went to the Great American Beer Festival, talked to beer drinkers there, tried to figure out, is this something that would work in the marketplace? Do people have a need for this? What would they pay for it? What do they want to see in it? So we decided to produce a product that was really going to address the needs of consumers. And that's why we went to the book. It just simply wouldn't fit on a single sheet of paper anymore. We had to have more room for it.
And actually what's fun is, I live up in Boulder, and I actually pulled this out and took a look at the map of Boulder and realized there were more craft places around where I live than I imagined. And being a cheap bastard, this was the best spot, a book of free beer. You include a bunch of coupons of places that will give you the first one free. What a drug-pushing outfit you've got going.
Well, we're not so much trying to push drugs as we are trying to convince people to go check out new places. I mean, with all the places there are to drink beer, wine, and spirits in Colorado, anybody who's interested really should be directed to go to those places, and that's been our mission.
Why has there been this explosion in craft brewing? I mean, I love it. It's been great. I love beer. Who doesn't love beer? But that there's such a huge spectrum of beer. You talk to these wine snobs, and they talk about this little tiny spectrum of, well, this one has more bold taste. This one has a nice little aftertaste. This one's more smoky. But it's red wine. It's all within this tiny spectrum, whereas beer goes from heavy stouts to light lagers to IPAs, and it's just incredible. Why such an interest in beer now?
I think because consumers have learned to understand and expect different kinds of beers, not only from the major producers, but all the craft brewers who are providing the products that consumers want. It's something that has been driven by, in Colorado, it's been driven by a history of production, by the regulations here, and by the resources here as well.
What do you mean the regulations here?
Well, the three-tier system of alcohol production, where you've got the manufacturer, the distributor, and the retailer.
All right, for people who don't know that, you have Coors Brewing, and they make the beer. They can't sell it to the end liquor store.
Correct.
They sell it to distributors.
To Rocky Mountain distributors, who then sells it to the individual liquor store owners.
And bars and restaurants too.
Correct.
Right? All right.
Correct.
And why was it set up that way? Is that just?
Well, it was part of what Prohibition instituted. I mean, there was an attempt to try to keep it separate so that organized crime, I suppose, wouldn't get involved with it. But what Colorado very wisely did early on was that they changed the regulations to allow small breweries, less than 300,000 gallons of production, which is still quite a bit of beer, but small breweries are able...
That's just a good weekend right there.
Correct. Small breweries are able to sell directly to the their liquor store owner and to the restaurant. So they're basically cutting out the middleman.
So in other words, by getting rid of regulation, it allowed an entire industry to explode in popularity, to experiment, to have what we have now.
Exactly.
And I don't think people understand the reason why Colorado is the Napa Valley of beer is because they took away a huge level of bureaucracy. A small brewery is not going to get a massive distributor that has a warehouse the size of Coors Field to pick up their small beer. There's no financial interest in doing that. But for that brewery, they're happy to go to bar to restaurant to bar to restaurant to liquor store and sell their product. And now they can. When was that change made?
Well, the biggest change came in '78 when Carter decided to decriminalize homebrew making and wine making in the homes. The first craft brewery in the nation was Boulder Beer in 1979, and they started the trend of being able to make beer, sell it directly, and then be able to move on to it. You know, Doug Odell, Mike Bristol, they're name after name of people who have been successful in this business for decades were able to go out and make a small batch of beer, sell it directly to the local liquor store, go back, make another small batch of beer, do that until they were able to make a little bit of money, increase their growth, and all of a sudden have a real business.
All right. There are guys who like to go all around the country and see a ball game in every single stadium. So there must be guys out there who want to go to all 120 some odd breweries throughout Colorado. That would be a good tour. Give me some of the better known or the lesser known secrets. What brewery do people not realize is out there, but if they did, they'd go?
I hate to play favorites because they're all good in some way, shape, or form. Even if you don't like their beer, the ambiance might be a great place. Mr. Grumpy Pants in Mr. Grumpy Pants in Ouray, who has the Ouray Ale House. I've heard different stories of different people who've gone in there and had a good time versus a bad time. Always enjoyable. I mean, really the thing to look for are the new places that are coming out. I mean, just this weekend, we're going to have two places open up. One of them is Wibby in Longmont, Wibby Brewing, and Yampa Valley Brewing in Hayden. Brand new places that are just opening up. You know, what we try to do is encourage people to go out and find these places on their own. Maybe you don't like sour beer, so you're not going to want to go to a place that serves sours. Maybe you don't like fruit beers, so you're not going to go to a place that serves fruit beers. But they're all going to have something that you like and enjoy.
Talk to me about spirits too. I mean, for people who want the hardcore stuff, there seems to be more and more craft spirits. That is, people distilling, and I'm talking about whiskey, good old-fashioned whiskey. Of course, Stranahan's, I think, pops to the top as local distillers. Are there others? Is it growing?
There's about 70 in the state right now, and there's another 8 or 10 that are in planning who are going to be coming out. When we produced that book last year, there were 42 distillers, so it's completely exploded. And
distilling takes longer? I mean, which is faster?
Actually, distilling takes the least amount of time.
Really?
And the least amount of effort, if you will, which is maybe why you can't have a home still. The feds still want to protect that. Obviously, they're looking for the tax revenue, tax income from it too.
All right. The best part I like, know your beers, a little family tree of where all the different ales, lagers, browns, and stouts come from. I love this. Where do people get it?
We're in about 200 liquor stores around the state. You can get it here in town at Tattered Cover, West Side Books.
Tattered Cover.
Davidson's Liquors.
Davidson's Liquors. Take a ride around the state and check it out. Check out the Independence Institute, and we'll see you next week.